what you have is web content where you will have you place all your HTML or JavaScript, JSP, CSS, everything, and in SRC your Java servlets will go into this. Servlets and other Java code will go into this, right? So then this is about generally how it looks like, and WebINF is important. This is as per the JEE standard. There is a WebINF lib, WebINF, and that will have web.xml. Web.xml is the deployment script. It will have configuration about what serverless you have, all that. Okay, and this is a empty one actually. And lib will have jar files. Jar file is nothing but Java archives. So third-party libraries, if you want to use, that's where you have it. So this is how a general application looks like. And now this is my application, and the build one is actually you have here as well. That is a derivative. When you compiled files, the Java files will be there, right? So additionally, what I added was there is one database folder. I just added the demoweb file, okay, and the SQL file as just discard the alternate files, .back and as well demoweb1 as well. Okay, so just that I wanted to place them someplace, and also I use some JavaScript library, and this is jQuery validation such as I'm using, but they right now students need not really learn complete details of jQuery, because I'm giving a code snippet and they can pretty much just they should know how to use it, and that should help them to wrap up their validations quickly. Okay, this is again the resources folder is only for reference. Both of them, they are for reference. They have some the downloaded files, such as you have sample. There should be some sample as well within the this particular thing. This is pretty much one can discard this. Right now I have within the SRC I have Java code, and this is the package structure I have. One sec, there is some component error. Why is it so? Just one sec. Okay, maybe morning or something. Just give me a moment. New user, the constructor. One sec. Let me just give me a moment. I'll just fix this. Right. Fine. So what I have is Java code. I have layered architecture in this. So I call this as generally popularly known as entire architecture. So this is the Java part, and the web content has JSPs. Okay, so what I can do is I can start running index.jsp. I just there is a sample JSP file. So yeah, choose the server. You should have servers configured, in the sense basically that's a simple procedure, and Eclipse will start the server for us. Okay, and then within this browser I'll see this simple home page where it says there's nothing much of functionality. I tried to make this as a kind of working tutorial. You have working code as well as the same thing is explained in the HTML or JSP files kind of thing. That was my goal, but it is not completed one. So I'll show you how it looks like. Existing users can log in, and if you don't have an account, you can click here. Yeah, this you see the URL. This actually like a servlet. There is a call to the servlet. Okay, servlet will populate data for the states from database. Now in my database I have this many states, 5 of them. So just that in many cases we need to have referential data displayed in the user friendly pattern in the UI. So that is the reason I did that particular part. So okay, I can see here I just entered first name, last name, say password, test one. Let me try to click submit. See the validation error, they come right here. So it looks, yeah, jQuery validation plugin. So it looks better. As well as, I also try to use calendar control of jQuery UI. So and just make the UI interesting, and the effort that is required for some other people to reuse this particular thing is very minimal, as long as they understand that which code snippet they need to use in which in their HTML or JSP, then it is kind of straightforward. So now let me create this and say accept terms, click submit. It actually takes a while because it is sending, no, it is actually sending email to me, and it has to connect to the Gmail and send email through Java program. So yeah, there is a logging as well, log4 integrated. So yeah, so this is essentially about the registration page, and other one is login page as well. There is, did I put that anywhere, or maybe let me click and see. Yeah, I'll go from here. Okay. So again, login page also in the similar pattern. Submit. The basic validations are in place, and what was my user ID? Test one. Sorry. Why my control is going up? Okay, so when I submit this again, authenticates with database and uh, shows the home page. There's nothing much of functionality other than this right now. Only thing is that there is a complete flow defined for JSP servlets, plain JSP servlets. Here the technologies used are plain JSP servlets and CSS. CSS I have within the CSS here. Okay, and if I go back, the login page, you see this styles, this tabular structure is a little different. So I used one styles available on internet, CMX forms. Okay, so that's, yeah, right. There is that related file 7 forms is also related to that. There are 2-3 CSS files related with the style. Okay, and UI lightness folder is primarily for the calendar control. So that's pretty much, it's, and yeah, then the some of the images that are required, the logo. I mean, it doesn't look interesting, but yeah, I just try to put up a header logo, right? So this is what I have on the other thing, and then JavaScript, jQuery, as I discussed, like, there are jQuery related files here, and within the WebINF, I do have some of the libraries that are required for this application to run. Primarily mailing, and in some case, I used Commons Lang, Apache Commons Lang library for encryption and for email templates. Let me show the email because I'm not sure whether I mean, it's not, yeah, let me show this. Here you see this, the variables are, it looks like more like generally how applications send you email in a real life applications. Your variables are replaced, if someone else is registering, their data will come here. So I created a small framework to achieve this particular functionality as part of demoweb. Okay, so at the high level, that is the thing, but what I will try to do is I'll explain login servlet, how it really like login flow, the code. I'll start from the login. Uh, uh, this is actually like, there is actually the pattern here is actually is called model view controller, but I'll not talk about it. I'll just talk about JSP and servlets, in the plain terms. When someone hits a login servlet, when someone hits login servlet, the intention is that the people always will use servlets to access the application. Okay, they may not be aware of JSP such. Okay, so when they hit a servlet, any web page, either irrespective of the technology, first time when you type a URL, then the default request is HTTP GET request. as per the HTTP protocol, it has multiple verbs: get, post, put, delete. There are a few other actions such as methods, but get and post are the predominantly most of the cases we use get and post. So by default, when you don't specify anything, that is get. So request will come here, and here what I am doing is this is request dispatcher is a servlet specific class. So there is a, we need to understand what is a servlet context. There is servlet config, the servlets related life cycle stuff. But such as when I do this, get servlet context dot get request dispatcher login.jsp, or you can even specify another servlet name. When you give this, what I'm trying to do is that I'm actually giving control to the UI. Now control came to the servlet, but here I don't want to generate any, you can use, there is a print writer class. You can get response.get print writer and then start writing, print writer dot, and you start putting HTML, all those things in a string format. You can do it, but essentially, like, I want to use JSP for the presentation to display purpose. Okay, that is the reason, in this case I don't have any logic, so I'm straightforward. I'm forwarding this call to JSP login.jsp. User is hitting only the servlet, but I'm transferring the call to login.jsp. Transferring, okay, I'm forwarding it. The logic, in web you have two things: forward and redirect. In case of redirect, call actually the server says, instructs the browser to hit another URL. Okay, there is a round trip communication. So user hits in the browser, he types the URL, and the call goes to the server, and server says to the browser, says that, you hit another URL. Okay, it will give the another URL, and there is a round trip communication. Maybe that user is not aware, but if you look at the URL part of the browser, then that changes, right? In this case, forward case, what happens is the request is hit, and such as, it will not be redirected, but within the server you can transfer to some other control. If I am at the some servlet, you can pass the control to other servlet as well. So you can just transfer. That happens transparently to the user. The user does not know anything, but at the server side, you just, one servlet to other servlet, or one servlet to other JSP, you can transfer the call. That is how I am doing it. There is a funda here, and this actually, like, if students can understand that, what is the difference between forward and redirect, that is actually, for at least the Java guys, it is actually like very, very important interview question, right? Now let me open the login.jsp. Now within the login.jsp, what I have is, let me first show you the form. I just have a form, login form. Okay, so I am the class, CSS style, I'm applying a CMX form. Okay, the one that I was discussing sometime before. And such as basically the primary element that I have is username. You can look at this particular thing, username, and next one is a password. Okay, and one little different thing that I did was using some little different HTML fields, but they should not be really any complex things. There is something called within the form. Usually you can directly write input, but here I am saying field set, and then that has legend, and then this is to display error messages. If I am entering some, if login is failed, then I want to display an error message in the browser saying that, use invalid username or password. So this is for, commonly, like, all the JSPs that I wrote, wherever I have a form, I am putting an error related stuff. Okay, so this is to display the errors. Okay, and then this paragraph, each paragraph, you see this element, I'm highlighting this. So each one paragraph element will is about one particular input field in the screen. Okay, so again, HTML label for, this is actually another HTML tag. Primarily, generally, we tend to do, TD and put the username, and then another TD, close the TD, another TD, and then you do input ID. Okay, but then here, and I'm not using any table structures. This is a used, with a div tag. So once, if you are familiar with, if you do for one property, then it is pretty much same in all other cases. Okay, then I have submit button right here, and there is another forgot password button as well. For forgot password, that, I'm sending an email to the user to reset the link, but if user clicks on the link, that email, there is no servlet implemented for that logic. So that is a to-do list for me. Okay, so this is actually like, pretty much the JSP part. Once you submit, what happens is, the validations that are, and now I'll talk about the validations. So if what I did was, I have, in JSP to at high level, JSP is nothing but, HTML plus little bit of Java code. Okay, so you see that pretty much, all that HTML stuff, and in the middle you see something, some additional stuff. This particular line is different. Yeah. PHP and JSP, they are very much similar, so here what I do is less than percentile, and there are some page instructives. Means at the rate include means in Java, when you are writing Java code, or even in the PHP, you have include statements. You can include output of another PHP. So here I am doing that, and let me open what is common.php. In common.jsp, yeah. So I'm just putting the links of, the CSS and the JavaScript links. I'm specifying in one single place, so that, and you don't need to worry about in other pages. As long as you just copy paste this header, it works fine. And now there is the jQuery validations part. So this is little tricky, but once you understand for one form, then believe me, it is so easy for any other form. Now what I have is, so the $ready, this is a jQuery ready function. So the moment the document is ready, then this function gets executed, and here what happens is $hash login form. So this is the ID of the form. So login form is, let me go down and see the ID of this form, login form, right? So login form dot validate is the method here. Login form dot validate is the method here, and here the rules, how to validate. So for each property, what type of validation should be there, we can specify here. Okay, so till this part is that you specify properties like username and length for this field as 2. Password also like this, and if I have any other n number of properties, I can just specify them like this, extend this. And now in case like what type of error message user should see. Okay, so for that purpose, what happens is that we specify messages. Now for username property, for the required field validation, say for if there is nothing entered, then it says please enter a username. Okay, now that there is a minimum length validation. So for that purpose, what I do is minimum length. Say in case I just enter one single character, then the required validation is met. So it will not throw that please enter a username. Now it will check for the minimum length, and it will throw this error. Similarly for password. So as long as you just copy, this particular part in any form, okay, just change these properties, and it works just like that. Okay, because the thing is that people can start, clone from this particular demo web project. They just change, the titles wherever they have demo or something. They can change their own names, yeah, they can anyway pretty much, they can see that, in the when they're running the application. Now I also included, there is a little bit of more HTML here. I started body, and there is a table, and within the table I am trying to include header.jsp. Header.jsp is primarily to display that particular, that particular logo. But the intention was that even to actually specify the, when a user logs in, to specify that, hello user, and then also you have login option, logout option there. Something like that, it makes common sense, to have these options there in the header, right? So I included that, and then we have seen this form declaration, right? And then additionally, then if you don't have an account, I'm just trying to say that, giving a link to registration servlet. And then at the end, I'm including a footer. So this is a simple footer. Yeah. I just said that, just this application is for demo and copyright. Okay. So this is about, the login page that I built, and also like, quickly I'll show you the registration part as well. It's a very quickly, it's very simple thing. Okay, and now I'll yeah, in this case, in case of get request, then we use that hits, demoweb/register, not the JSP but the servlet. Now what happens is I am populating the states drop down values here. Okay, what I'm doing is I have, the layer that I'm following is the servlets. JSPs are only plainly for the presentation purpose. The servlets are, for controlling thing. They take the control from the user. When the user hits a browser, so control first will come to the servlet. Then if it has to talk to the backend, get some data display in the screen, it will get the data, it will prepare the data and give the control to JSP. So here what I'm doing is I'm actually getting data. I'm talking to the backend using a service layer. So service layer is nothing but a set of classes. I named them in a package called service. Okay, I have login service, master data service, registration service. Okay, just simple Java classes. There is nothing explicitly, there is nothing great about that. But let me open this particular service. What I have, there is a get states method. Let me click F3 in Eclipse. Says what I'm doing is I wrote a DAO class and I have a method called get states. Simple call to the DAO. Okay. Yeah, I'll open that. Yeah. So DAO means data access object, right? It is to connect to the database. It is to the connect to the database and to get the the database related logic to create a in JDBC you have statement, prepare statement, callable statements. You prepare those statements and execute, get the result and process the result kind of stuff. Okay. So here, yeah. So I'm just getting a DB connection. Again, I used one utility class here, the simple utility class connection manager. Okay, and here I show you that there's here this is a simple Java class giving the connection. So if someone need to write a project for their own, they are cloning this project, they need to change this demo web, the schema name and also then username and password. In my case, yeah, here in my case it is root and secret is the password. So let me close this connection manager, nothing more than that there. And DAO, I'll just have the database logic. I get the connection, create a statement, then see here statement dot execute query, select star from state. State is a table in the database. Yeah, right. I'm getting that and I'm creating a map. So this I think somehow I need to explain this in a better way. That the collections in the Java, core Java. So this is pretty much a collection map and hash map. Map is an interface, hash map is a class. So what I'm doing is a key value pair. If I look at if you look at an array, if you look at an array or array list, what happens is it is index based. Left side it is a number and right side you can have the object. So in case, yeah, right, yes, yeah. It is associative array if you say PHP, right? Yeah, in PHP you have it, right? Yeah, exactly. So I just prepare that and then just don't just discard about this main method because I just want to to verify this particular DB method. I just wrote it directly a main method here and to execute as a standalone Java program. Okay, I did not remove because I thought it might help others as well just to verify their code. So now this is how I'm getting data. I'm getting data of states. Okay, so I'm just putting that into request. Okay, request dot set attribute. The request is a HTTP request, so whatever is coming to the from the browser, generally that will have request parameters. So request dot get parameters, and I'll show that particular thing in the bottom. The post method here I'm getting parameters. So this is how you access request parameters. Now here what I'm doing is this is not a parameter sent by the user, but I'm specifying some this map into one parameter onto request. I'm storing on the request. So for this within the request scope, this value will be there, okay, accessible for me within the Java code or JSP. So I'm setting the states value to the request here, right here, and then I'm forwarding this call to register.jsp. Okay, and register.jsp, and within the register.jsp, again I have jQuery stuff here, the validation spot, but I'll what I have here is simple, again the JSP, simple, the way I explained, the other properties there in the login page. I have other properties, regular properties here as well, the HTML stuff, and then here I try to introduce one particular, JSP has something called tag libraries. I used one particular tag library that comes with standard JSP libraries. Okay, So this is something that I discussed with Mani and Sanjay as well, but I wanted explicitly to explain to everyone, or if it required multiple times, I will be happy to do it. Basically, like the funda is here is that I want to dynamically populate a list box. See, the select name is state. This is common thing. This is common thing. This is a plain HTML logic. But then down here, then that will have option value. You will have option is also HTML value only. But now I introduce this particular tag which says I did set this states value to request, right, in the servlet request get method. What did I do? I am setting it to states right here, request.set attribute. So what here I do is this particular logic, these 3 lines, what they do is actually there are only 2 lines, that is tag library stuff. Okay, of course, are consider, let me 3 lines. It will for each item, this is a for loop. Okay, for each item available in this particular collection, because in the request I added that as a request.set attribute as a state, key name is state. So it will take items that are stored in the states object. So whatever for each map variable it will iterate, and for key values it will set. Key means I am saying there as integer values, that whatever primary key in the table, and option dot value means the state name will come. So that causes the drop down to have filled values there. Yeah, dynamically populate. But otherwise rest of them are pretty much same. And there is one more change that I know I have when compared to regular typical JSP or servlet application. What I have is that let me, okay, I think I closed it, so let me run this again. So when I just click submit, it throws errors, fine. And when I say okay, yeah, test 1, I'm just there is this account already exists, so I'm trying to do this again. So I must see the error messages how is it, password master, yeah, dynamically it's changing, so it looks better. Yeah, I mean, if you put up more pages of this sort, and just put 5-6 pages, if you, even if you don't complete complete project, I mean there is an easy way to get a better score. Okay, and if you can do few more screens of this sort, if a student can do on his own, believe me, attending an interview is I mean, it will be very easy for him, because he can talk about this, he can talk about the flow, how he is doing. Okay, and it makes that was my goal. Now you see here, one thing is that unable to register duplicate entry key. I mean, actually this is a directly database error exception message. I need to, I mean, this can be fine-tuned and shown in a user-friendly manner, because it shows username underscore unique. But what I really wanted to show was, see here, first name, last name, and username are pre-filled now. There was an error. If you do a typical page, what happens is this value, the page will be empty again. I see the error, but the page will be empty. To avoid, I mean, to pre-fill the data, what I did was I used, I'm just checking, and there's a ternary operator, just a simple in the request.get parameter. When this is a JSP code, JSP snippet. Okay, so whatever code I can write, in the servlet, pretty much I can write here. So I'm getting request.get parameter and saying get first name value, and I'm checking if it is a null or not. When the user is first time hitting the URL, so get request, that time there will be no value, so this will be null. So when the value is null, okay, first time hit, okay, then you just fill the value with empty string, otherwise it will show as a null. So to avoid that, I'm putting this is actually empty string, there is a double quotes, within that there is a single quote as well. Okay, so and then I'm actually, if it is not null, so if there is a value, I'm saying okay fine, you display this value, whatever value was there in the request, you display the value in the field, just set the value to input field. This is one thing that I did extra, just that the benefit that I wanted to show was to pre-fill these values, right? So this is primarily about the login and registration. So other part that I did was to use Gmail, and there is a mail API that I wrote, mailing template. So this is a simple email sender class. what happens is that this particular thing takes subject, body, and email ID. It will send the mail. It will send the email. And I hard coded, I created a Gmail account called webdemo2012 at gmail.com, and the password is webdemo2012 at the rate 123. I explicitly left instruction to all the mentors and the students not to change this password if they are using this particular account, not to change, so that others, everyone can use this particular thing. Okay, this is about sending. Just I actually gave you the particular link where I actually, I took reference for this particular code. So people can pretty much read, download it from there, or they can actually try their own. I just did some changes, some customization here in this logic. So, okay. So, but I did some change. I did some change in now. I mean, am I too fast now? Because I'm recording as well. So I thought maybe I can upload it somewhere, and people can get benefit out of it. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Right. So next one is that email templates, in the sense how does it really when you saw the registration mail, you saw that that was personalized mail. Okay, how that is really happening is that I'm actually storing that template in a string. Ideally I wanted to store this particular value in a database, but because I am running after other things, design, analyzing use cases and other things, so I did not get enough time. So I thought maybe I wanted to show how this templating can work. So I just stored that in a static variable in the mail, in the Java class. So here if you look at it, I took the variables like this. So dollar curly bracket, your variable name, and then close that bracket. So like this is a variable placeholder. They are placeholders. They are placeholders. So I have two templates. One is registration, other one is forgot password. Now I just have those variable names. I mean the constants here. So I will be using it down below. So when I need an email, see here, people will send wherever I am using it in the registration. I think I'll come from registration servlet. When I do submit, uh, and there is a registration service, and that is in turn calling DAO. See here, I mean I am not elaborating this because this is a plain DAO. We looked at line flow. We looked at the DAO code. So this is inserts, this particular stuff inserts a user into user table. Okay, based on the parameters that user has sent. Now this is the send email, registration email. Now here, this particular method has, what I'm doing is I'm preparing a key value map again. We looked at key value map before that, whatever you said, associated arrays. So what I'm doing is I'm creating this particular fields, key as this particular thing, whatever I have here. The same variable is actually also used in the template as well, and put the actual value. So variable name and the value, variable name and the value, variable name and the value, first name and actual first name, username as a variable name, and then actual value, password and actual password, right? So here what I'm doing is I'm calling email template. So this is where it goes there. Now here I used Apache Commons Lang library, where actually I'm getting these classes to replace those placeholders. Otherwise we need to write that code. But now, given that again everyone has to write that kind of code, and replacing string replacement with the placeholder replacement is not a 5-minute job. You need to spend really considerable time and do it. You need to tokenize, take the tokens and see that where it is starting and where it is ending, and then figure out that complete pattern, and then remove that, replace with the actual value. So doing that will take some effort. So to avoid that, what I did was I used Apache Commons Lang library. So that has this particular class. You see this org Apache Commons lang3.txt, the tooltip. So this particular class has this utility for me. So what I'm doing is I'm initializing this with the map that I sent, the parameters that are coming to this message, and say that particular thing substitute dot replace will resolve that variables and give me a resolved string. It will replace the values and give me a string, the final string. Okay. So now whatever string I get is filled with customized information. So I use that with the email sender code. I use that with email sender code and send this out. Call this and it sends out email. Okay, so that's is this particular thing, and so because I am registering the user, so the registration as well as sending email is there in the service class, registration service. Okay, now because registration is done, so I'm directly like creating a session attribute username on the session, and I'm forwarding this to home page where that means that I'm auto logging in the user upon registration. Okay, so yeah, right. So in case of errors I'm displaying that error, whatever error message we saw sometime before. Yeah, this error is because is coming there because I'm actually like there is a, when in case you are trying to register a with a existing user ID and the unique constraint will fail, so there will be an exception, and that exception I'm actually putting that message into a variable called error, and that error stuff I have shown you before, where this is the one. Okay, just put this particular thing, this is actually like a pattern kind of stuff, so people can reuse most of the stuff that I did, but they can clone from here, and they need to still write lot of code, but then they have some reference to start with. They have some basic platform. They don't need to worry about how to create a web application, or how to create a login, how to create registration. So I would say that maybe 15% of every project, or maybe if you consider that email logic also takes some effort, maybe 20% of your stuff is done for each project, provided they understand that whatever is there, right? So this is what essentially I did for demo web, and that then there was some gap between me and mentors, and so we tried to discuss this couple of times, maybe 2 times or 3 times, and also like other thing that I have was database design. Okay, shall I continue with that? Oh, you looked okay, okay, okay. So if you are already familiar with yeah, yeah, I try to the actually like a couple of projects are very, I mean, they are really complex ones. Payroll and HR processing, it's very easy to say, but it's very difficult thing to implement. There are a lot of functionality there. So I try to reduce that scope of the application by maybe I feel that any of these projects should not have more than maybe they should have between tables between 5 to 10, not more than that. So because if you have more table, that means that you need to have more screens developed to populate the data or to write the logic. So with that intention, I think I try to restrict number of tables and present it. Yeah, minimize and you can at least build some functionality, and that way when people, if students can understand and follow me, and I believe that they can actually do it provided we explain it properly, and it may take some effort, maybe that I spend one day and try to explain them, but the result will be good. People when they go for their interviews and all also, they will be confidently, they will be able to explain the complete flow. So that was my intention behind demo web. And also that whatever additionally like we can add, session management is not completely tracked here, so logout option is not there, and some more common functionalities, forgot password logic also we can put. If we do some of the utilities, some of the functionalities, and for the students, if we give it to them, and if they know how to use, customize, just change the CSS styles and change your logos, or like maybe the layout little bit, and so that every project looks unique, but back end code will be same, or change the servlet names, at the end that this with minimal changes, people have this code for granted, everyone can clone this from here and use it, right? So that way I thought it will help students, and actually like I wanted, along with mentors, we wanted to build this as a full-blown application kind of, another project which is like as a reference for other projects, but we are not, we are just in the beginning phase of it. Yeah, so this is about demo web. When it comes to servlets and JSP, what are the things that we need to learn is that the introduction of servlets and JSP technology, the first chapter. This is actually like in terms of this is for older JSP servlet versions, but it doesn't really matter for us because we are trying to understand the fundamentals and not exploit the complete features of the technology. So the first one is about introduction. Okay, And second one you can skip. First one is about servlet and JSP technology. Second one you can skip because that the web application configuration and all is not immediately not required, because the demo web already has it. You can just start adding additional projects, and Eclipse has create a file new new project, and demo web dynamic project, sorry, dynamic project. Create a dynamic project in Eclipse, and that does the stuff for you. So we can pretty much discard that, or if you think that it is if it is not I did not look at the page, but you can pretty much, if it is a simple few page material, then maybe you can look at it as well. So then there is a chapter 3, servlet basics. Okay, chapter 4, chapter 3, and chapter 4. Even chapter 5 is required. Chapter 5 HTTP request headers. No, you can skip chapter 5. Chapter 6. Chapter 6 is required, and chapter 9, chapter 10, then chapter 11 as well. Yeah, chapter 11 and then 12 as well. Okay, and yeah, if you just look at maybe you just given that if any special understanding is required, I can pretty much explain these things as well. Okay, I can stretch my time. I can maybe tomorrow morning also, if you want, we can catch up for half an hour or something like that, and maybe 1 hour, because you are there, and you can understand it in a better way. So I can pretty much spend some time. We can do that. You just try to explore this particular link, see this, or you can get a lot of material on internet. What is JSP, what is servlet, and how to use it, and then but you can this core servlets guy, the trainer, he is a Java guy. He was with Java. I mean, my Sun Microsystems, I guess. So he is an author of some of the popular books. So I think I believe that he has done a good job in this stuff. Also, you see on the left side, even additional things. If students are interested, if you are introducing this particular link to them, there is a lot of other things. If someone has patience, they have a lot of things to learn. Yeah. So, okay, that's it for now. So I think, yeah, we'll stop it for now. Okay. So let me know. You just have a look at it, and if you think that there is some gap, or you just help me out. What I really need is that is it too heavy, the demo web? Is it too complex? Because I mean, primarily I try to use only JSP servlets and JavaScript. Okay, I did not introduce struts or any other framework, and I'm pretty much JDBC. Yeah. Yeah, we need to just get started with it. That's it. You have the starting trouble always. Yeah. Yeah. Learning curve is there. Even if you have to do with JSP servlets, you need to learn them. Without learning them, we cannot do it. So I just have little bit of overhead in terms of JavaScript, but I try to simplify that, by using jQuery, and you don't need to really care for it. As long as the syntax wise, okay, this is what I need to do. You don't understand, but I know this works if I put like this. Yeah, right. Exactly. As long as we do that, it is pretty much fine. Hmm? Okay, great. Okay then. Thanks. Bye bye.